when I was a teenager, Timothy, I had a cousin that I hated. We literally hated each other, right? And we wanted to kill each other. So for a time period, my mom went to the interior of the country. We left the city. We went to my grandma's house for maybe like 6 months. And the house that my grandma lived in had a few people in it, my aunts and one of my cousins, right? And he was a big boy. He was built like, let me think who he was built like Phantom, right? My cousin was big. He was built like Phantom. And y'all know me, bro. I was scrawny like a little rat. We were on some Rimp and Stimpy type bullshit. Some Timon and Pumbaa bullshit, chat. I was skinny. I was Timon and this nigga was Pumbaa. I was Rin and he was Stimpy, right? And my grandmother used to cook these fucking Johnny cakes, right? And she used to sell them for the people on the island. And she used to tell us every single night when she cooked this shit, don't touch my Johnny cakes. Those are for the customers. Don't touch my Johnny cakes. And I would be like, yo, I'm respectable, right? I'd be like, I'm not going to touch that shit. I'm going to respect my grandma, right? But my cousin, he was always wilding. This nigga was always doing extra, chat. Stealing, being rebellious, fucking skipping school, doing all this crazy bullshit, right? So one day I caught him in the act stealing the fucking Johnny cakes. And I told my grandma, and my grandma got so fucking mad, she kicked him out of the house for the whole day, right? She kicked him out of the house for the whole day. Nigga had to go scramble. He was scraping and scrambling for his fucking lunch, dinner, all that shit, roaming the streets, had to go to his friend's house and shit, spend the day over there to watch TV type shit because he couldn't come back in the house, right? He was big mad. So then the afternoon comes. He says, Scott snitch. Bro, you know I'm gonna snitch. I'm snitching on everybody in this bitch, Amid. I'm snitching on everybody in this bitch. So then the afternoon comes around, right? And we're all cooking our like little afternoon meal. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna cook some plantains, right? So I cook my fucking plantains. I'm cooking my plantains. They're frying. I take them out. I put them in the plate. I'm going to go get my eggs and my fucking bacon and my sausage and shit to go fry that shit up. My plantains are sitting on the counter. I turn around, go get the sausages from the back where they were in the cooler. And when I come back to my plantains, I'm looking at them and I'm like, yo, what the fuck is going on, bro? And mind you, I'm starving, chat. My fucking stomach is hitting my back. I'm starving like a motherfucker, starving like a Marvin. But I look at the plate and I see that there's salt all over my plantains, right? But the salt is looking weird. The salt is looking weird. Like normal salt, the grains are fine. You guys know what salt looks like, chat. Everybody here knows what salt looks like. The grains of salt are fine. But for some reason, the salt on my plantains are looking big as fuck. They're looking like sea salt. And I'm like, something ain't right. Something ain't right with this shit. I'm looking at this shit sideways like, yo, something ain't right with this shit. Meanwhile, my stomach is growling. My shit is scraping the back of my fucking stomach. I'm starving like a fucking Marvin, chat. But I'm like, something ain't right with this. So I grab the plate, right? I look around. I look to my left. I look to my right. I see my dumbass cousin, Aisha, sitting on the sofa. And I say, okay, that's subject number one. I'm like, Aisha, taste these plantains. Are they good? This dumb bitch looks at me in my face. You know, she's probably starving too. We're all living in Panama in the sweltering sun, Central America, living like fucking Ethiopians. Everybody in that bitch is starving. So she grabs that shit, stuffs it in her, and she stuffs it in her mouth. She's like, oh, what'd you do to this? It tastes disgusting. And I look at her and I'm like, bet, okay, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Lightweight. You want to prank me? You want to poison me? This motherfucker put Epsom salt all over my plantains, right? The laxative. Epsom salt is a laxative. He put it all over my plantains. So then I tell my grandma, yo, Chalong, put Epsom salt on my plantains. Everybody in the house gets big mad. His mom comes out. She beats the shit out of him. Everybody's yelling at him. They chase him away, right? They chase him away for the rest of the day. They don't let him back into the house until like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. So he comes back in, he's big mad, but everything's cooled down now, right? Everything's cooled down now. So he comes back in the house and everything's calmed down, right? Everything's calmed down. And you guys know me by now, chat. I'm the kind of guy who's gonna study the environment to get my come up, right? I'm gonna study my environment to get the come up. I'm not gonna let this shit go. I'm not letting this shit go. If somebody does something to me, I'm gonna lock in, right? Because remember that when he ruined my plantains, I forgot to mention to you guys, there was no more plantains in the house. Those were the last plantains we had. So I ended up throwing away my dinner and I didn't eat anything. I went to bed hungry, right? I went to bed hungry. So I'm like, okay, bet. I got this nigga in trouble, but that's not enough. I gotta go all the way. I gotta go all the way. So I studied him for like 2 days, pinpointing his weaknesses like a fucking anime supervillain. Maybe this is when the Scott Leonard villain arc started, right? I sat there and I studied this nigga like a supervillain. And I saw that every day in the morning, this motherfucker took his toothbrush out of a secret compartment in the kitchen. Between the refrigerator and the wall, there was a tiny gap, and he had like a piece of wood that would cover it. And every morning he would move the piece of wood and take his toothbrush out. So you know what I did? I waited until he fell asleep. Right? I waited until he fell asleep just to make sure that he had his toothbrush in the right spot. And that morning I took a diabolical dump. He says, why did he hide his toothbrush? I don't know. He was paranoid. That's a good question, Daffy. Nigga was paranoid. But to be honest, I hide my toothbrush too. I've always hid my toothbrush. I don't hide it now because I live here. But when I lived with my parent, when I lived in other, I've always hid my toothbrush too. Toothbrush is a man's weakness, bro. You can't have your toothbrush out in the open. So I woke up that morning and I took a giant shit, Timothy. I took a giant shit on his toothbrush. And then I grabbed the toothbrush and I scrubbed the bowl of the toilet and I rinsed it off in the water and I put it back in his secret thing. But that wasn't enough for me. That was only the beginning. After I put the toothbrush back in its secret hiding compartment, I pretended to sleep and I watched him. I made sure to watch him get up, get his toothbrush, and go brush his teeth. And when he went to brush his teeth, I couldn't hold it in, bro. I jumped up and I ran outside and I ran down the street laughing. And I just stayed outside for like 10 minutes laughing. And I don't know if this makes me an evil person. Maybe this makes me a piece of shit, evil, demonic person. But for some reason, that shit gave me so much joy. It gave me so much fucking joy, so much satisfaction to see his downfall. I was like, got him.
Got him. Got him.
Just like how you guys see me get in Arc Raiders, where I do some villainous act to somebody and then I'm laughing and I get my rocks off. The same thing happened in this situation. And that was when I was a teenager. I was probably like 15, maybe 16. I ran down the street. I was just laughing, bro. The joy it gave me, the satisfaction to see this nigga scrub his teeth with that dookie toilet toothbrush. The dookie toilet toothbrush, chat. The satisfaction it gave me to see him fucking rubbing his teeth with shit. Greatest joy of my life. One of the top 5 moments of my life, chat. No cap. No cap. No cap. It wasn't about the plantains, Amen. It was about the disrespect. It was about the disrespect, bro. And then I didn't tell him anything for like 4 years. When I told this nigga that story, we were already adults. And he didn't believe me. He's like, no, that's a lie. I'm like, okay, buddy, if you say so. I mean, you saying it's a lie ain't gonna fucking take away what happened. If you think it was a lie and that didn't happen, that's on you. But I know what I saw, my nigga. Homie didn't want to believe me. He coped. But at that point, we were already friends. That's normal, man. When you're a kid, when you're a teenager, you have like, rivalries and shit. But usually, from what I've seen, when you're a kid, most of your enemies become your best friends as you grow up. I had so many people that I hated when I was a kid, and then when I became an adult, they were my friends. I guess it's a trauma bonding, right? Trauma bonding. The other thing I learned as a young adult is that when you're a kid, right? When you're like 11, 12, 13, 14, the girls that are like 9 years old, 10 years old, you can't be assholes to them, bro. You can't be assholes to them. I fumbled so many times because when I was like 11, 12, 13, the kids that were kids, like, kids, actual kids, I would treat them so fucked up. And then when we all became teenagers and adults, those same girls were bad. And I was like, damn, let me holla at Adriana. And Adriana would be like, nigga, you bullied me when I was a kid. And I'd be like, fuck. I'd be like, damn. So if I have a son, when I have a son, I'm gonna have to tell my son that shit. Don't bully any fucking girls. Don't bully any of them, bro.